Hi, welcome to This Week in Ames. I'm Susan Guiazda. On today's show, we'll check in with our GIS division. On today's show, our guest is Ben McConville with GIS with the City of Ames. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Susan.
And what is your specific title?
I'm actually a GIS Coordinator, so I manage GIS activities throughout the city, coordinate information between departments, and then I have a staff of 2 other people that help me out with that.
And you're officially housed with the Public Works Department, but you kind of are a standalone division that really works with everybody.
That's correct. We're actually housed in Public Works Engineering, but we do work with every department and the public and various groups, kind of called in whenever they need us.
So GIS is really a growing field. I think most people sort of get the basic concept of what it is, but give us a little bit of a summary.
GIS is basically a database with spatial attributes, so everything in the database has a real-world coordinate on the Earth, and that's the way it's stored, and that's the way we view it through the maps and analyze things. Kind of instead of looking at it in a table, we look at it in a map and see how it relates with other things out there. A
lot of people are used to using things like Google Maps to locate where they want to go or to look at a house or property. Is that sort of the kinds of things that you do? Very
similar. We just do it a little bit more detailed and specifically for our needs. So we do a lot with utilities, water, sanitary sewer. We've also got Mark Karen and Electric that handles their GIS. So we deal with a lot of basically the location of utilities and the information behind them.
So while somebody might be used to going on Google Maps to see something above ground, your GIS actually can go below ground.
We do track features below ground. In fact, we map all of our infrastructure. Increasingly, we're getting more accurate, trying to get depths and things like that. So we can't literally go below ground, but we can show you where it's at in relation to things above ground.
You don't have actually photographs of below ground?
No.
Yeah.
No, we do not.
But that is actually very helpful for a lot of the city infrastructure repairs and improvements like street projects.
Yes, it is. I mean, that's a huge project, and anytime they're going to do that, it's very helpful for engineers and planners to be able to look at what's there for infrastructure now, what are we going to need to change, and also information about it, what the age is, what the materials are, who it serves, and the impacts it's going to have during construction.
I know one of the biggest problems sometimes doing street repairs is when things aren't exactly where you think they are, or they're not labeled appropriately, it can cause problems getting the project off schedule.
Sure. Yeah, those things are major issues, and that's why we're working continuously to try to shore up and make our systems more accurate. Right now we're in a process of surveying our water system and our storm sewer system, as well as some of our traffic infrastructure to make those as accurate as possible. And we're finishing up on our sanitary through the sanitary evaluation project that was going on a couple years ago.
Well, it's interesting because you'd think that would be sort of a static database, but it's constantly being, like you said, updated, and it's growing.
It's constantly being updated, and we're not only tracking locations and attributes about features, but we're also tracking maintenance. So when they're out there flushing hydrants or inspecting manholes or doing cleaning or whatever, we're tracking that so that we can keep a record of what they've done and maybe problem areas and things we can do to fix it.
So interesting you mentioned the hydrant flushing. One of the more interactive maps that we've been putting on the website in the last few years has been the hydrant flushing map from the spring. As the local fire hydrants are flushed, they go from red to green in real time on the website, which is really fun to see, but also allows residents to see when that hydrant flushing is occurring in their neighborhood.
Yeah, that's correct. They can look and actually see not where the crews are at, but what the crews have finished. And so like you said, when something changes, they'll see that on the map, and it gives them an idea of maybe our progress and how fast we're moving and when we're going to be in their neighborhood or finished with their street.
And citizens like to know that because in the spring when that process occurs, sometimes you might get rusty water, minerals, or deposits in your water line, and people always want to know why. Mm-hmm. And then they have that knowledge that, oh, they're doing the hydrant flushing in the area, and this will go away.
Yes, they can look at it and say, well, it's done, so maybe it's going to take another half a day or so before it cleans out, and then they can use it again.
So GIS has other public applications as well. So I know you just mentioned all the different ways that the different city departments and divisions use it, but as a Ames resident, why might you use GIS?
Well, we're increasingly trying to get information out through maps, whether it's ash tree planting or public parking or right-of-way permits, and we place all those on our GIS website. We have a portal there that I kind of like to call it a one-stop shop for city-related maps, and on there we have everything from, like I said, right-of-way permits, CIP projects if they want to look at locations and get more information. We have stormwater impervious surface, so you can see what you're going to be built and maybe what we're calculating. We've got zoning maps, street maps, all sorts of different things on there.
So that's all located in one place. If I'm on cityofames.org, what am I looking for?
If you go to the Living tab, we have maps and GIS data under there, and you can click there. You can also go to the Public Works Engineering page, and we have a GIS tab under there.
And they both take you to the same place?
They'll both take you to our portal.
Okay. And then you have your choice of different maps to look at. You mentioned the Emerald Ash Borer, the ash tree map. What's on that map?
That's actually showing our planning phases, and right now there's not a lot of information other than year one, but as we build onto that, it will show the different years and which trees we plan on taking out or treating and the status of those trees.
And that's ash trees that are located in the public right-of-way, basically the land between the sidewalk and the curb.
That's correct, yeah. They're city-owned trees in public right-of-way.
And parks as well?
Parks as well.
And then some of those other ones you mentioned, we get calls occasionally about who's working in a project in my area, and we might need to know who's pulled a right-of-way permit.
Yeah, we have a map on there called the right-of-way permit map, oddly enough, and you can go there and look at what permits were pulled in your neighborhood and see maybe who the contact person is or what the company is doing the work. And just get a general idea where the work is taking place and why they're doing it.
Because sometimes neighbors will have a lot of trucks show up in their neighborhood and they realize that they're not City of Ames trucks because maybe they're a phone company, a cable company, some other company has contracted that work, and sometimes it's good to know.
Yeah, that's correct. And there's things after the fact too. You know, maybe something wasn't done quite the way you like it and you want to know who was doing the work. Maybe 6 months later, so you can look on there and see who was in the area and doing the work.
So do you have a favorite map?
My favorite map is actually one called Ames Then and Now, and it is a comparison, a slide, kind of a slide over of 1930s versus present day aerial photography. And it's very interesting to get on there and look at, you know, what areas have changed and see how much the city has grown and what used to be there.
Wow, that sounds like a great one, especially if
It's
you're
fun.
a history buff to see that. So I imagine it's changed quite a bit.
Yeah, we get a lot of interest in that, and it has changed a lot. In the 1930s, you can see the separation between downtown and ISU and other areas and how much we've expanded, you know, around the city limits and that sort of thing. So it's very interesting.
Great. Well, Ben, thank you for sharing this information. It's always helpful to know all those different resources we have available.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Again, if you'd like more information on where to access those GIS maps, they're on our City of Ames website. Go to cityofames.org, look for the Living tab, and look for the GIS maps drop down under that tab. If you want more information about the City of Ames, just in general, don't forget we're on social media. You can find the City of Ames on Facebook and Twitter. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week for This Week in Ames.